let me tell you. Let me tell you about. Let me tell you about.
Katamari Damacy.
Keita Takahashi, the mind behind the game up for discussion today, holds this philosophy that his art should be a harmony of practical components with a dose of humor. It's a mentality that can be felt in a lot of what he's been a part of, both published and cancelled. Following his joining of Namco in 1999 as an artist, some of the pieces of this game were already taking shape. Within a cancelled game action project, 2 of the game characters were conceptualized here, and after seeing both a prototype presented by Sony called Denton, which sounded like a surrealist demo about a girl floating to islands, along with being inspired by a game played in Japanese schools called Tamakoragashi, where you push a giant ball into a goal, something that actually makes an appearance in the game in one of the stages, he presented this idea to meet Tsutoshi Ozaki, who said he should improve his skills and flourish this idea. Following a stint within Namco's Digital Hollywood Laboratory, a school made to help game developers harness their craft, Takahashi got the ball rolling more on its prototype that was completed within 6 months and had a spot within Japan's Media Arts Festival, where it got more traction and was finally greenlit by Namco, who gave it a budget of only 100 million yen, which is about $650,000 at the time, to pull it together. Following another year and a half of development, the world was finally given the treasure that was met with a heap of praise, and I will be breaking it down today. I'm talking about the then budget title, but still instant classic, Katamari Damacy.
I fucking love this game. To this day, there hasn't really been a gaming experience quite like my first dip into Katamari Damacy as a teenager. It was a game that immediately captured my interest for just how weird it was, how distinct of a look it had. It looked a lot like the games I had seen from Japan that I had seen in Japanese arcades and stuff. It has that Japanese look, but there's something extra special about Katamari Damacy. You know, the game at its core, a lot of the game is just helping you get around the physics of the game, because the game itself is designed kind of differently. You know, it's built around learning how to control the prince pushing the Katamari around, but it does it so very well. And the progression, the level of progression of the game may seem a little short, you know, at first. You feel like you're really gaining traction, but once the game starts to really open up and give you some more of the side stuff, some more of the quirky missions, like collect specifically this thing, or eventually collect a lot of shit and then one of this specific thing, but the minute you touch that specific thing, the round is over and you've got to try again. I love that. The game, story-wise, it's weird. It's not necessarily the focal point. The focal point of this game is the charm, the presentation. You know, the opening cinematic of this game, to me, is iconic and showcases one of the other attributes that I've already praised with this game, and that's its soundtrack. This soundtrack for this game is incredible. It's fusions of stuff like J-pop and indie, quirky, electronic, even stuff like Shibuya Kai and like sort of alternative folk stuff. Just works incredibly well and suits a lot of the character of this game. You know, I wouldn't say it's a style over substance thing, because a lot, the game mechanics are so very intrinsically tied to itself that it is its own language to learn. But I feel like once you learn it, it's really just a test to master it. You know, one of the other things that I like about this game is whenever you're finished with the level, you are graded as to how well you did, and the King of the Cosmos himself, he's like, you can do better. You know, it's all about empowering you, the player, and getting you to that step where you can master the game itself. And I love that about it. You know, the story, the presentation of the story is weird as well. You know, them following this mother and their kids and seeing the world be destroyed by the prince to satisfy his father because the stars are gone. It's a weird-ass story, but it works really well into also teaching you how to use the Katamari. It all melds together. That philosophy that I talked about in the opening is so well indebted to this game especially, you know. And it's weirder too when you collect the constellations and you have this constant bringing back of the girl who can feel the cosmos.
Oh, I feel it. I feel the cosmos. Cancer King scuttling back. So yummy.
But it's one of my favorite aspects of the game, the weirdness. Y'all know, if you couldn't tell by now, I like weird shit. And while I've gone over games like Mischief Makers that are just weird as a whole with weird controls, and Kirby Air Ride, a game that's pretty safe presentation-wise, but its controls are very weird, Katamari Damacy is another instance like that of a game that is so left field, but works so perfectly for what it's trying to pull across. It's not an incredibly long game. I played Reroll, which is the first time I had played the game in a long time, and I beat it in like a week. You know, it felt good though. It felt good to revisit one of my favorite games of all time that I would consider, because it is. It's a game that's short and sweet, but it's so very fun, and I forgot just how much difficult it gets the later you go, because the level of progression is, the more you play, the bigger your Katamari has to get. The goal, the bar, is set high every single time. But getting those last couple of levels is actually kind of challenging, and perfecting those side challenges that come with some of the constellations is another notch in that belt if you needed to get good at the game and learning its language, and I love that. You know, the barrier of entry is high if you don't understand the controls, but it's low once you get past that point. You know, once you get past that point, it eases you into the difficult attributes of the game, and I love that. It's a brilliant form of progression. I love the gameplay loop in this game, and I feel like it's really tight. It's a tight-ass experience. And again, its soundtrack helps fuel you the entire way. Whenever I hear Lonely Rolling Star, it just fills me with so much warmth and happiness. I love it so much. You know, and again, even the little things that pop up, like the level where it starts with bananas all around, and every time you get bananas, the King of the Cosmos spells bananas. It's a random thing that has nothing to do with the level itself or the goal at hand. It's just something they threw into the game. I like that. It's charming. It's humorous. And there is a real sense of humor with this game that, again, ties into that philosophy. You know, while it's very stringent, physical, a lot of this game physics-based, the humor is still at its core. Whether it's, you know, seeing the people in distress the bigger your ball gets, or the animations that happen whenever you hit stuff. There's a real comedic touch to this that I feel like is charming. It's a lot of charm on top of a well-designed foundation, you know? It's a cake that's hearty, sweet, it's a filling cake, but it's got some good frosting on top. And that's all I really wanted out of a game like this, you know? And it helps that it was a budget game, I'm sure, you know? And not a budget game, but it was sold at a lower price. This game retailed really low. I'm sure it's increased in value now because this game is, again, it's beloved. A lot of people love this game. It got a lot of praise when it came out and just established this great idea. But it is a perfect game to me. You know, I've only played one of the sequels. I think it's a little more long-winded, but this package right here, and thankfully it's been re-released on the Switch. If you have a Switch, buy Katamari Damacy Rerolled. It's a great port of this game, but this game, if you can find it, get it. It's perfect. You know, I love so much about it, and it's a game whose legacy, again, it's had sequels. It has a thing to go on. I did talk about it in my games that need sequels list because I would like to see a new Katamari Damacy with more better graphics. I love the art style of this, and I would love to see this cute art style done in a modern edge. Prince is also just a character I think is cute. It's a cute ass game to look at. It's got a very distinct style, but I think it works, and I feel like that was kind of the reason why I wanted to talk about it today. It's a game that I really, really love. It's a game that I think is perfect, and it's a game that fits a lot of the types of games I've covered in this classic game side of the classic breakdowns. You know, The World Ends With You, another classic game to me that has a weird control style that I'm happy to present. But yeah, I just wanted to get all this out. I love this game. I was playing it. It was on my mind. It was fresh on my mind. And I wanted to talk about it with you. Again, not a meaty game, not a beefy big game, but what's here is worth it to me. What do you think of Katamari Damacy? Do you love this game as much as I do? Let me know in those comments down below. Do you think that this game is a classic? Do you love its soundtrack as much as I do? Because I think the soundtrack is incredible. Let me know. If you did like this video, be sure to give it a like. If you want to see more of my music, gaming, and genre nerdery content, be sure to subscribe. Special thanks to my patrons if you want to join their ranks to get early access content, exclusive content, or to help drive the community. It's linked in the description. I'm gonna get out of here. I've been Viral. You guys are good days, live situations, and I'll see you another day.
You